Hi, it's Cole from Cole's Quilts. Now that I'm not sick, I came on here because I wanted to talk about something that I've been seeing happening a lot in the quilting community. And I'm sure all of you quilters have seen it too and know what I'm talking about. And that is this conflict of ideas about whether or not people should talk about politics in quilting groups. I first want to start out by saying, I am autistic and I also have a degree in psychology, and my study in psychology was very focused on neurodivergence and wellness and positive psychology. I spend a lot of time thinking about things like things that we've seen in research that helps increase wellness and mental health. And for me, quilting in the quilting community has been so helpful for my mental health and has given me a lot of support in times in my life where I was really struggling. So it's very important to me. For having perceived social support, there's so much research that this increases positive mental health outcomes, satisfaction of life, happiness, and that can look like a lot of things. That can look like looking forward to posting a quilt that you made and getting positive feedback on it. Or when you have trouble with someone, you can ask anyone at your quilt guild or in your online quilting group and they can give you feedback. Now, one thing I want to interject here that I forgot in the first part of the recording is that the research shows that perceived support is what helps. And what that means is that people have to feel supported. And so for some people, if they do not feel like they can express their authentic selves in a community, they cannot get the benefits from that support because they may feel that, people may sort of act supportive, but if I really act like myself, then they're not. People who feel like it's really important for them to talk about politics in a quilt group, it may be that that is an important part of their identity and they need to do that to feel seen. We think about the purposes of quilting. It could be a lot of things, but really, what I think makes quilting magical, it's when you are involved in doing a creative thing, when you are making something, you're putting yourself into something. There is something magical about that is just beneficial for humans. I feel like this is something humans were meant to do. And there are so many positive mental health outcomes that come from being creative. And then from social support. So you have the being creative, and then you have people who are also creative that you can be around. And what I am seeing in Minnesota is such an amazing example of community. Yes, there are horrible things happening, but I'm also seeing thousands and thousands and thousands of Minnesotans finding and gathering food for each other, collecting money to pay rent for people, recording things so that we know what's going on, standing in front of other people who are more vulnerable. Honestly, it's been one of the only things getting me through is seeing this support. And I saw this video the other day of a bunch of Minnesotans singing in front of one of the hotels that I was staying at, and it was so touching to me. So this is important. Now, often people will say, I come to this quilting group to forget about the world and focus on quilting. I don't want to hear about politics. And other people feel very strongly that they want to talk about politics. And this is my opinion. I don't think it has anything to do with politics. When I think about politics, I think about things like, where should taxpayer money go? Should we spend more money on the military, or should we spend more money on education? Maybe how much should the government regulate things? What I don't understand at this point in time is that what is happening in Minnesota and in other places, to me, it's not about politics, because what is happening is human rights violations and people's constitutional rights are being violated. And I can guarantee you that the thousands of people marching in Minnesota don't all agree on politics. And I would think if you are an American, most Americans are proud of the Constitution and the rights that the Constitution gives them. And so that's why I think this is different. I have plenty of opinions about politics. I don't talk about my opinions of politics in my quilting videos because that's not necessarily the place for it. But what is happening right now isn't just about people's opinions. So I think for me the difference is it's not about politics, it's about morality. And you could define morality a lot of different ways, and people have different beliefs about that. But when you see people's rights being taken away, it makes you feel like something needs to be done. And I really feel like Minnesota is doing a really great example of showing us how a community can come together to support itself. And I want to do whatever I can to support people as well. I don't want to look back on this time and think that I was just hiding in a hole somewhere, because there are a lot of horrible things happening that should not be happening. And again, I don't think that's about politics. Because here's one other thing that's really hard for me. I think partially because of my autism, I am definitely a rule follower. I like things that are clearly outlined. I tend to not break rules. And I definitely grew up with this idea that if you follow the rules, if you do the right thing, you'll be fine. And that idea, it is very clear at this point in time, in this place, that that is not a truth anymore. And that's terrifying. I don't want to have a debate about how immigration should be handled in general, but what we're seeing is not really about immigration. It's about scaring people, and it's about an improper use of power. To me, the quilting community is about people who like to create and like to support each other. And like they say, you can't quilt if you're killed by ice.